I have attempted to write a script for this goddamn video 4 separate times. I can't tell you just how hard it is to read and sound enthused at the exact same time. I don't know if it's my ADHD or if I'm just a fucking problem, but the truth is, I'm just gonna wing it now. Anyways, thank you for coming to my video. I'm gonna go over just how fun the Directional Shield is. See, the Directional Shield, when used on the bot front, is probably the second best tool in terms of defense. I would put the Directional Shield probably right above the Bubble Shield, but the Ballistic Shield still has a better place due to being resistant to melee damage. The Directional Shield has quite the use case when used against the Incendiary Core. However, I do not have any footage currently of it being used against Incendiary Core that I can use for this video. I do, however, have a video coming out currently with me using it against them. I just could not extract it for this video itself. Let's get down to the stats. It has a base health pool of 300, an armor value of 2, aka light armor. This will mean that any attack from light penetration weapons will be reduced by 35%. That may not come up too often, but I swear against the Illuminate is an actual noticeable change. I think the Staff Boys and the Wasp guys tend to do light pen weapon, and thus for will actually do reduced ballistic damage to your shield. It has a shield capacity of 1000. To put that in perspective to just how much punishment this can take, a Heavy Devastator deals 35 ballistic damage per laser from its minigun. That can withstand up to 39 shots before breaking. It has a short 3-second delay before regeneration after taking damage, but the regeneration is increased to 6 seconds if the shield is completely broken. And finally, it has a call-in time of 5 seconds. Now, similarly to the Ballistic Shield, you can throw grenades, stratagems, and even stim while holding this shield up. However, unlike its brother, the Ballistic Shield, it cannot block melee attacks. Because this stratagem is used in your offhand, similarly to the SSD and the Ballistic Shield, it can only be used with one-handed weaponry. There's not a lot of them at the current moment in this game. However, the primary weapons that can be utilized alongside the Directional Shield are the MP98 Knight, the STA-11 SMG, the M7S SMG, the SMG-32 Defender, the SMG-72 Humbler, and the CB9 Exploding Crossbow. Now, every secondary in the game can be utilized with the Directional Shield. However, I think there are a few standout picks that elevate the usefulness of this stratagem. The P113 Verdict, the P4 Senator, the P92 Warrant, the LAS-58 Talon, the LAS-7 Dagger, and the PLAS-15 Loyalist. And lastly, there are only 2 support weapons that can be wielded in conjunction with this shield, the MS-11 Solo Silos Targeting Designator, and the CQC-1 One True Flag. Now that we have gotten all the stats out of the way and what it can be used with and what tools can be used alongside it, let's get down to the first faction I want to cover, the bots. When facing off against the bots, we're all familiar with the pain of the Rocket Devastators or the Reinforced Scout Striders, Tank Cannon Towers, Bunker Turrets, and Factory Striders that can all blow you around while you're holding up a shield. However, I'm here to convince you that that is a good thing. If that missile was going to hit you in the first place, it might as well just knock you back instead of killing you outright. Rocket Devastators tend to be the most problematic for most people. However, when paired with a team, you can utilize their shield to target anything that can blow them back so that you may both stay safe. However, the Directional Shield is fantastic to pair along with somebody else who's bringing anti-tank weaponry. Being able to have someone stand in front of you and block all the laser shots while you're charging up a Quasar or loading your E can be extremely helpful, especially when holding ground. This stratagem excels exceptionally at holding your position and advancing forward using its mobile cover. While it is not ideal, I do, however, suggest using this stratagem to block cannon shots that you otherwise are unable to avoid, or to jump in front of your teammate and block a cannon shot for them. You might skid across the floor like an ice puck covered in loot. However, it's a lot better than being dead. If used correctly, you could even drop the shield, let the missile fly past you, and then pull your shield back up so that you don't go flying. Against things like Factory Striders or gunships, however, I do not have footage of the gunships in this very moment. Factory Striders will shred your shield. However, it does give you enough time to get under their stomach if you have a weapon that's capable of bringing them down from underneath. If you run down their front, you can get underneath. I do not have a clip of me doing that per se, simply because I was testing to see how long the shield would last against their Gatling gun, and in the clip, the Factory Strider does not have one of its guns, and it still shredded through the shield, so it is a very important tool to not linger in front of them. They will destroy the shield. Alright, moving on to the Illuminate front. With the Illuminates, this is probably the single best faction you could bring this against. Now, there are a few enemies in the game that have ranged attacks that are pretty rapid, but are ultimately not so harmful. Throughout my entire gameplay, I had not once had an issue where the Illuminate have been able to break my shield except for Harvester beams. The standard karate kids and the flying boys do not deal enough damage to destroy your shield. However, the Crescent Overseers will deal damage to you through your shield. The explosion radius on their projectile will hit you regardless of if it's the shield or the ground, and it's just not worth trying to block their mortar volleys from the sky. Not even the dreaded Stingray can break the shield. However, the splash damage from the explosion from their shot will hurt you even if you block their shot. However, it can prevent you from outright dying if it's all you got. If you can't dive away, you can block shots, and you will survive. In the clips, I'm wearing heavy armor, which may have some kind of factor in play to prevent me from dying. But against the Harvesters, Tesla Towers, and the Little Watchers, the lightning strikes that they do are completely negated by this shield. You can close the distance on a Tesla tower, and it can zap you 6 or 7 times before the shield finally breaks, and then you can just lay prone to avoid it. For Watchers, they are completely meaningless. You do not need to bring arc armor, and for Harvesters, they will destroy your shield in a matter of seconds. However, that 1 second of blocking can save your life if they get a direct hit on you. All in all, the usefulness of this stratagem against the Illuminate is great, due to their lack of ability to knock you over random rocket missiles, and pairing it with the Talon allows you to 2-tap the heads of any of the karate kids trying to change you. Because remember, you cannot block melee attacks, and they will snap your knees. On the Illuminate front, I would say the Directional Shield is more of a personal use item rather than a team play item. On the bot front, I would say utilize it with your team to become a mobile fortress where they shoot from behind you. This one I say, bring it for yourself. You can probably just sandwich your sentry gun and block your sentry gun from taking plasma shots from the enemy. Now, moving on to the bug front, the one that we all know is not the one you want to bring the stratagem to. However, it does have a place, but it's a very small and very niche place. On a Bile Spewer seed, you are fully capable of blocking the Biles. However, I have no footage of it, but it will block the Dragon's Fire Breath. However, it still sets the ground on fire beneath you, so you will still catch fire and take damage that way. So it is still not quite viable against that. However, against Bile Titans, if you are far enough back, you will survive. If you are too close, cone of attack goes right over your shield. Probably headshot you, if I'm going to be honest with you. But it is not a good stratagem to bring to this front at all. I did not enjoy it, and I'm not here to talk about its weaknesses, like I said, but it is a very unenjoyable stratagem to bring to the bugs. I do wish that every piece of equipment in the game had the ability to be used on all 3 fronts with varying effectiveness in different use cases. This one just doesn't have the use case that I needed to have. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I understand that in post-editing after watching this and doing the voiceover, I said the word however quite a few times, but I hope you enjoyed the video. It took me a very long time to make this. I'm very new to editing, and I did not know how to use the software whatsoever. But if you did enjoy and want to see more of this, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and I will try to be making more of these. It will really depend on how well this one does and how I feel I can improve. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.